Turn to my guest in the studio, Dr. Deji Ekundayo, is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for finding time to come on the program this evening. It's been an interesting watch, seeing how things have developed. I've heard a few people say, wow, the Ekiti election this time is not as interesting. We didn't hear stories like severe pains, or someone saying that ballot boxes are being snatched and all of that. Seeing how things have panned out since morning, are you impressed by INEC's outing this time? And is it a sign that things are getting better?
Thanks so much. I want to start by congratulating the people of the state for a day like this. And this is the beauty of democracy. Because so far, let me also congratulate INEC. Because if we look at the history of elections since 1999, we had election 1999, we had election 2003, 2007, 2011, up to this point. And if we look at it across board, they really deserve commendation. Because there was a time we're having cases of ballot boxes snatching, stuffing, and the rest of such. We even have situations where reported cases of killings, maiming, and the rest of them. So we have been...
Please go ahead, please.
We've been monitoring the exercise this morning, and within the range of human actions, and to a large, very, very large extent, I think the exercise has been quite commendable. We've not really, because there will be skirmishes here and there will be problems here and there. It is impossible to have what you can have like 100%.
Is it impossible that we can begin to identify the things that have worked thus far, even though we know that election is a process, the things that happened before the voting itself, and the election isn't concluded yet until sorting, counting, and the official announcement of the winner is made. But this is perhaps the first governorship election we're having running on the provisions of the amended Electoral Act 2022. It means, therefore, that INEC is expected to have early funding for its operations, and then the BVAS is in operation, no incidents form. The machine has to be able to detect your face and confirm that you are really the owner of that PVC. Do you think any of these have played any pivotal role in how these things have turned out?
Significantly. And we are beginning to also see the advantages in the Electoral Act 2022. And we can also see a great improvement over the one before, that's the Electoral Act 2010. So we see, because we begin to also see the importance of this very great innovation in our electoral process. Because very soon we'll be having the elections into the Senate, House of Representatives, state assemblies, presidential election, gubernatorial election in some states next year. And we are already beginning to see, because if you go through the Electoral Act, and that is why politicians and even electorates must familiarize themselves with the Electoral Act 2022 and follow the process. Because it's not enough for you to say, okay, we are planning for an election. There are rules and regulations guiding the process.
Indeed.
Before primary, intra-primary, post-primary, and the general election. And we are beginning to also see, because we have just seen the primaries of the major political parties. You see, we have seen a situation whereby primaries are conducted early enough. There is enough time for parties to campaign 150 days. So you now find out that in the time past when everything would just be lumped up and there will be commotion here and there. So we are beginning to see the fruits. What we are seeing today in Ekiti, what you can call the low-hanging fruits. And that's exactly coming up, because now we are using BIVAS now. And it's not even only in authenticating the correct owners of the cards. But it's also because I watched it and I saw that it looks so credible. And when you have a credible process, more and more people will get involved.
And then there's also the electronic transmission of results. But we're going to get to that in a short while. It's a process, and we're told it takes time for a process to be perfected, as it were. We spoke earlier to Ezena Nwango, who is an election observer with Yega Africa, and I'm quoting him now. He says, organized vote trading ongoing in Ekiti election. And there are observers that have confirmed that there were pockets, incidences of places where certain people were given money in exchange for their vote. Is it possible that we come to the agreement that perhaps we will have to fix the economy before we can fix vote buying?
Well,
there are some who would say that as long as you have poor people, then you might not be able to fix the issue of vote trading.
Well, I have said it severally, and one may also say, some people may also tell you that poverty, the nature of the economy, maybe be responsible for vote buying. We are not witnessing election for the first time. I witnessed the 1979 election in Ekiti. We had 5 parties. We were not rich then. We were not rich. But you can't, there was no way somebody was going to bribe somebody in Ekiti and say, go and vote for this and this.
What do you think was different then?
Well, attitude. Attitude, we have no attitude values.
Or maybe the economy was better.
Well, not.
And the politicians weren't this as desperate.
Yes, contentment too. Contentment too, values. It's not everybody you can buy. And as we are talking now, when we are talking about corruption in the electoral process, it's not everywhere in Nigeria that you carry money to and you get votes. You see, there are some people that will still say, no, I'll vote by the dictates of my conscience. You see, so the fixing the economy, greed is not easy to really satisfy somebody who is greedy. Because if we even give him money, he may still tell you that it's not enough. But also too, bad habit. You see, bad habit where you now believe that you can make some pecuniary mileage from the opportunity that you have to vote. And also, let me also say something. There is this provision of a constitution that I love so much. That's section 14, subsection 2. It says, sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government, through this constitution, derives the powers and authority. When you say sovereignty, that is supreme power. So when they say sovereignty belongs to you, you are like the king. So when you are the king, you now want to trade your sovereignty. For how much are we talking about? Are they giving you 1 million naira? Let us assume they give 1 million naira for voting. Is that enough to buy your conscience and buy your rights?
I understand what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. It's just, how do we drive this home? Because long before this election, we've been saying the same thing. We've been telling people not to sell their vote, but we saw that happen in some areas in Ekiti. Let's return to Ekiti, where our correspondent Ayo Deji Muradio has details for us. Ayo, where are you now?
Well, I've left Ijero, Ekiti, and I'm now in Ado Ekiti. Voting has ended in Ijero, and I'm now in Ado Ekiti. And voting is still on in some of the polling units. If you look at my back, you see some voters still there, and the votes have not been counted. So they are waiting for their votes to be counted. For now, in Ijero, it was peaceful. I also visited Efalai, where election there was also peaceful. We have large turnout of voters who came out in their numbers to the part of the exercise. And Efalai happens to be the country home of the People's Democratic Party candidate, this is Kolawole. So it has been peaceful in most of the places I visited today. And we have elderly people, and they also came out to be part of the exercise.
All right, let's talk about what you consider to be the performance of INEC, the way you've seen it both in Ijero And in Ekiti, where you are right now, we had earlier reports that both electoral materials and INEC personnel arrived quite early in most of the polling units. Talk to us about exactly how INEC personnel are fared thus far.
Let me say INEC performed very well this time around because in most of the places I visited, the BVAS device worked perfectly, but except in few cases. But so far, so BVAS device worked very well in Ijeru, in Efanlaya, and also in Toro. But here in Ado, as I'm talking to you, the delay in this polling directly at my back is because of the malfunctioning of the BVAS device. So for now, they are still there. The votes have not been counted, and they are waiting for their votes to be counted.
Growing participation of young people in, electoral discussions, particularly online, and a growing number of young people who are also interested in election matters, going to register to vote. What did you see today at the polling units where you have visited? How much of youthful engagement really did you see with young voters today?
Let me tell you that I'm impressed with the large turnout of youth today in today's exercise because they came out at different locations, at different polling units to be part of the exercise, to exercise their franchise. In Ijeru, the number, they came out and they are how to pass out a statement that they are willing to take over. So in all the polling units that I visited, they came out and they performed their civic duty, which is to cast their vote for the candidate of their choice. So it has been a good one outing for the youth in this exercise we decide. And they are still, if you look at my back, they are still there. Many of these voters are youth. Though we have elderly people who also came out, but most of the voters I met at the polling units are youth.
Hi, Brady, you're live for us, and I we're back with you when you have more updates for us. Well, quite exciting stories about young people participating in election. I've heard stories of how people would say, well, elections wouldn't take place online. It doesn't matter how much noise has been made there. But it seems that we're also seeing younger voters showing interest in the electoral process. And we even hear that a growing number of people are going after their registration to vote in the coming general election. How impressed are you?
Well, it's quite impressive, and they should even do more than that. They should also try and get more involved. Not something you can call a knee-jerk reflex. There's an election next month, there's an election next year, let's quickly collect our card, let's go and vote. It's beyond that. You see, they must get involved. Getting involved to the extent of participating at the level of partisan participation, not just to vote. Because when you say, okay, I've heard this several times that youths are not allowed to come in, and ask them, have you read the story of Action Group? Have you read the story of Action Group? How old was Shifa Awolowo in 1950? When they were put Action Group together. Shifa Awolowo was born in 1909. How old was he in 1950 when they put that party together? They were in their late 30s. People like Papa Adekunle Ajasin, maybe 41. And before they came, NCNC was very, very much on ground, all over the places. And within 1 year, the party was put together. Young men, they were not rich. They were able to form Action Group. And after the election, the party took control of the Western region. So young people can do a lot. They can do beyond just voting. If they desire power, nobody will yield space for them. And they will not drive the others away.
And after all, many have identified voter apathy as a strategy to rig election or have results favor a particular set of people. So if we can have more people come out to vote, given how improved the electoral process is with the Electoral Act, then we can have people's intention really reflect in the way and manner the results turn out. But I'd like you to talk to the importance of the Ekiti election. After this, we're going to Osho. How important is this setting the standards and also raising voters' expectation for the general election. The mindset is that if this election is free and fair, and if the true wishes of the voters prevail, then perhaps Nigerians can be more inspired to go all out for the big one in 2023.
Yes, I will just from going by what I said before, because when you go through, for you to know where you are, you need to understand the history.
Please hold that thought for a minute. Let's turn to Ekiti State. Demola Lawrence is standing by. Hi, Demola. What's the update where you are? I think we lost connection with Demola. We'll return to him shortly. You were making a point as regards how important this election is to the growing participation in future ones.
Yeah, I've also noticed a trend, because there was a time people were not even willing to go out to vote. They will tell you that my votes will not count. Because when you see what you even witness on election day like this, we even discourage you from voting. People will be on the queue, casting their votes. Some people will come and start shooting, carry the box away. So then you know where you are. So when you are now watching such a thing, then you get discouraged. But you can see, and to a large extent, kudos to this government. President Muhammadu Buhari has, to a very large extent, has not been throwing his weights around. Because a lot depends on the president.
When it comes to elections?
Yes, sir. A lot depends on the president. Because when you say, we have been hearing federal might, for example, yes, it happened at a time when soldiers and policemen will invade a state like this. There was a time in this same Ekiti state. People were coming to campaign. They were not allowed to enter. They couldn't enter the state. Governors now.
You think it is the function of the person of the president?
For police to...
Or a system that is improving?
I'll go into that. For policemen to stop governors' convoy, then where do you think that coming from? Policeman will stop governor's convoy. Then you know, if you see the body language of the president, the IG sees the body language of the president, the DSS, DG sees the body language of the president, that I'm fair to all. I want level playing ground for everybody. I want transparency, credible election. You can see that.
Please hold that thought. Demola is back. Hi, Demola. Talk to us about the update where you are.
Yeah, Nifemi, of course, voting has ended. Sorting and counting has also ended in Idosi local government, Ifaki, precisely, and of course, and all of the environment around this place, the voting has ended. So the INEC officials are already taking those materials back to the collation center, where, of course, everything will be sorted out. So it's been a very, very interesting one, where the people, of course, came out very early this morning to perform their civic duty. And the voting actually closed on time this time around, because you will wonder how by past 2 or to 2, some polling units are already rounding up the exercise. So it was indeed a very interesting one to see that the voting, of course, and sorting and counting were actually done on time.
Demola, so the BVAS, the bimodal voter accreditation system for INEC, is the big change maker for this election. Talk to us about how it fared in those polling units where you visited, particularly its impact on the time for accreditation and voting itself. We probably will get back to Demola in the course of this program, but you were talking about the presidential body language. Should how votes or how election turn out be a function of the position of the president? Or should we build a system where, irrespective of who is president, what is right would be done? And it will be impossible to, tamper with the process.
Very good. You see, when you want to have a process, there's no way a process will run without the character of the people running the system. See, many people will tell you that we need strong institution. Strong institution, the strength of an institution it also depends on the people that are running it. It depends on the people. So, okay, if we have Electoral Act now that says this. If we have people who have been given responsibility to do certain things and not, or they determine to sabotage the process or take advantage of the process to their own advantage, in this system, we have another, for example. There's no debate who is the governor of Lagos State, for example. There's no debate about the powers he has. There's no debate about who is the president and his powers. The relations between the president of Nigeria and the Inspector General of Police, for example, the Chief of Army Staff, for example, the Director General of DSS, for example, you see their relationship. But now it's good to have strong institutions. But people that are also heading positions of responsibilities must also, in a way, allow the system to work.
And you're saying that you've seen that kind of body language from Mr. President.
Okay, for example, how many court cases do we have now in the elections we've had before? We had election in Anambra, for example. We had in Edo. Okay, we're having another one now. You see, the president has not given Nigerians the attitude that, see, my party must win by fire, by force.
Hold that thought. We'll take a short break now. When we return, our focus will be back on analyzing the developments in Ekiti, where some 700,000 plus voters will determine who the next governor is. My colleague Michael Kwacha will be back with all the analysis for you. Stay with us.